So, we're really doing it this time, huh?
What choice do we have?
Marcus! I didn't expect you, buddy. Now I'm gonna have to get a new belt. You know, I was 60 pounds lighter when I started this job. Hey, good luck.
After we do this, am I gonna be better off?
Can't imagine it getting much worse. I have a child, a daughter. I had a wife, I had it all.
So, we really doing this?
Why are you here? Why now?
You know, I didn't leave because of you, right?
Are you aware this gentleman has been out here for almost 2 days?
Yeah, I know. He's my father. He's fine. You've got to stop shaming this. It's the only way it'll ever get better. But before that can happen, you've got to stop being ashamed of yourself.
What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani. We have right here via Zoom a very special guest. He's the filmmaker, the director of the critically acclaimed independent film Marcus, available now on demand on all major platforms. We're talking to JR Poli about the film and his journey to this point. JR, thank you so much for the time. How's everything going?
Everything's good, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. We just watched some clips of the trailer on the show. My goodness, this is one powerful film, really tackles the issue of mental health, in particular men's mental health and just the inner struggle. Can you talk a little bit about the film and just really how you came up with this whole concept?
Yeah, the film started as a short in 2017. We shot it. We released in 2018 in film festivals all over the world. We did extremely well with the film festivals. It was only about 10 minutes. If you've seen the movie, it's the car scene. I mean, I think everybody immediately after seeing the movie is like, wow, that car scene. Oh, that's where it originated from. And yeah, we went on for about a year with the festivals, got a lot of people asking, can you make this into a feature? I wasn't planning on it at all. I was kind of using this short to push another feature I had written to try to get traction on that. And I came very close to getting funding with a good amount of money for that other feature. And when the door closed, I was like, okay, I can make Marcus. Let's just write it. Let's do what we did with the short and kind of just expand. And then I got really deep into the emotional part of it. I wrote the short film in my lowest time. I suffered from depression. I was very closed about it. Only my wife knew. And I wrote the actual script to the short one night at 2 a.m. when I was in the shower and I was ready to go, and my daughter woke up, which was very odd of her to do, woke up yelling for my wife, and I heard her. And, I kind of just snapped out of it, came out of the shower, wrote the script. Next morning, showed it to my wife and showed it to Owen. And I said, hey, you want to shoot this? And he was not wanting to shoot it. Owen, definitely, you could talk more with Owen about this, but yeah, he definitely felt like it was just too close to home for him. And he thought, he just didn't want to go there emotionally. But after a while, he was like, you know what, let's do this. It's important, to get this message out there. And so we did. So that was the short film part of it. That's where it all stemmed from, is really my personal battle with, all those thoughts. I mean, almost all of it, written in there was what I was thinking and what I was going through. Yeah.
Wow. And if you don't mind me asking, how are you doing these days?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I mean, my favorite line of the movie is distractions. It works way better than anything else. And I have distracted myself. I am currently in a move. We just went to Europe for a month. I mean, if I feel low, my wife will buy me baseball tickets and we'll go watch a Marlin game, or, wherever we're at, we'll go do something, a movie or something. So yeah, just keep yourself going. If you have that, couple hours of downtime, your mind decides, it's going to take over,
And we see in the film, and not to give too much away, we see like the main character, Marcus, doesn't have, a lot of family, doesn't have a whole lot of friends, if really any at all, whether you'll be pushed away, they're long gone, whatever the case may be, people can watch the film. But I did love the role that you cast Paul Wight. And if you don't know who Paul Wight is, legendary wrestler, the Big Show of WWE and AEW fame, plays the security guard Gus, who is kind of sort of Marcus's, only friends. I'm assuming that was kind of a deliberate messaging you wanted to have. Like, oh, you always need somebody to talk to no matter what.
Yeah, you always need somebody to talk to. And one thing Paul immediately got from the role is that he does understand there's something wrong there. Marcus doesn't talk much. He seems like something's constantly weighing on him. But him, just like many other people, they have no idea what to do. They have no idea how to talk to him. So that was a big thing, because I personally in my life, I have my wife to speak to, thankfully. But there are other people that just didn't know what to say to me anytime I was dealing with something, and you could see it. You can just see it in somebody's face. So I wanted to have that character that, yeah, it's one of his only friends, if not his only current friend, at least. And he just doesn't know how to say anything to him. He doesn't even know how to snap him out of it. So that was a big thing. I mean, because many people go at this alone, completely alone, and they don't realize it. So he wasn't alone, but he still felt alone, So
what was the casting process like for Marcus? Because it's kind of, in some ways, it's a little random on paper, right? You have Owen Miller, who is fantastic in the film. I'm not just saying that. Fantastic, but really kind of under the radar. You have Katana, who was not only great as an actress, but also can sing. And then you have Paul Wight, a legendary wrestler who's got the busiest schedule of all. So how are you able to kind of wrangle all these people together into one film?
Well, Owen was in the short. Owen is one of my best friends, if not my best friend, all the way back to 2002. He auditioned for me for a student film and did not get the part. I actually gave it to some other guy who's just not, it didn't work out. The guy was late every day. So I ended up replacing him with Owen. We became very good friends, and he's such a good actor that I kind of always write a part for him. He's usually the lead, just because where I'm from, you kind of have to tap into the best actors, and he was that. So that's why I didn't even, bat an eye. I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to go ahead, and Owen's my guy, So from the get-go, there was never any other person to play Marcus but Owen. Katana was a different story, because obviously in the short, there was no female parts. And so she came about, I met her at a film festival, and she was there with another film, and she loved Marcus when she saw that. I loved her performance. And the other thing, it's funny because we look back at pictures of that festival, and I can see her way before we actually met. She's way in the background talking to other people. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. But yeah, I had two people in mind. They both could sing. I had to, on their Facebook pages, saw that they were both singers. Katana's not a singer. She just sings like to her child. And she sings like on these quick little videos on Instagram and whatnot, just singing with her child. But she had never performed in front of anybody. And I said, I can hear that voice. She's got a voice. You can sing. And the character needed to sing, obviously. So I brought the two actresses in, and they did a phenomenal job. Just her chemistry with Owen was just over the top. So that's how Katana got the part. The other actress also is in the film too. I put her somewhere. I said, okay, you could choose any one of these roles, because she's very good too. But yeah, that's how Katana came in. Now Paul Wight comes in because I had a client, and we were at some karaoke event, and Paul Wight was like the reigning champion at this karaoke. So he was there, and that's how I first met him. And I pitched him the idea, and he was like, I'm too busy. He was about to fly out to do the Big Show in for Netflix. So he was like, I'm too busy. So I got in touch with his wife, who was also there, and I gave her the short. And I said, just watch this. If you like it, hand it to Paul. And so she did. She loved it. And then one night he came home from some wrestling thing, and she had dinner prepared, and she had the movie on the screen, the short. And he watched it, and he loved it. And he was just like, yeah, what do you need? And thankfully I was able to shoot all his stuff in one night, because it was like he had just a night here and a night there in between this Netflix show. So yeah, he was able to do it in one night, and we were happy to have him.
Pretty incredible. And the chemistry that Owen and Paul had was fantastic. And I know you've directed other stuff before, but were you kind of surprised that they had instant chemistry despite having literally 15 minutes to get to know each other?
Yeah, I was surprised, and I'm not, because Owen always has chemistry with people. Now, Paul, on the other hand, I only met 15 minutes before. I had spoken to him on the phone, but I've never actually met him in person, because of the fact that he was so busy. He was still with WWE at the time, and he was doing the show with Netflix and doing other things. So I never had a chance to actually meet him in person, other than the karaoke event, of course, which was very quick. But we went upstairs, the private area in the building, and the three of us just talked, and then I kind of walked away. I said, okay, let them two talk, because I'm just interfering right now. I needed them to have at least a few minutes of conversation. And then when Paul sat down and we started with the scene, I remember he was we ran through it once before we started filming, and he was just, it was a little rough. Like, okay, like I see this might end up being like a line by line thing. And then when I yelled action, they just knocked out the whole scene. Like in one, we had two different camera angles, so they would just knock out the scene complete, 4 or 5 pages. Some of those scenes were 5, 6+ pages of nonstop dialogue back and forth. And I was just like, what just happened? Like they both just turned on the moment I yelled action. Where in the small rehearsal we had beforehand, that it was a little rough, and I just couldn't. I looked around and I said, "Oh my God!" Like we're going to be able to get a lot of coverage, because you worry about coverage when the actors are struggling to perform, because then you have 5 pages, you can only get certain. So we're able to play with all the angles and all that, because they gave me so much time because of how well they were with the straight takes.
The more prepared an actor is, the easier it is for the director. It's usually an easier day at the office when the actor is off book and really kind of knows their stuff and really kind of feels the character, right?
100%. I mean, I have my shot list, and my shot list can go from 40 shots down to 5 if the actor's unprepared, because you're losing time, and you have to get the basic parts, right? You have to get your close-ups, and you like to get at least a 2 shot or something. But if the actor's prepared, and I see, wow, we're doing well on schedule, and now I can get creative with the DP, and we can start really, having some dolly shots. Maybe we can add some crane shots. We can add all sorts of stuff to this scene that can make it more appealing, especially because it is a drama. They're talking heads. And, you need to give it a little bit more to look at. That's not just people saying words, unless the actors are so good. And in this case, I guess less is more could have been applied here.
As far as that whole process of selling the film, getting distribution and all that jazz, as someone who's been in the game a long time, not just as a director, but also as an actor, do you find it a little bit easier or more accessible these days compared to, say, like 15 years ago, given the fact that a lot of things are more remote, more people are embracing streaming, and there's more platforms than ever? Like, how do you assess the kind of the overall indie scene on your end as somebody who just sold an indie film?
It is definitely easier because there are a lot more platforms for these, distributors to put the film out. Even just 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have gotten this distributed the way I did. It would have been a self-distribute probably. Something I would have probably put on Vimeo and then charge, $2.99 to rent or something on my own. But it is definitely easier. There are a lot more people looking for content. Now it's more difficult in the fact of having to weave through those that are just specifically looking to fill spots and find the actual company who understands the message. And that's where Gravitas came in, because, there's pros and cons about every distributor or sales agent always. So you have to kind of go through it, but you have to also pay attention to what they say when you speak to them. For instance, the line, Owen's phenomenal. He's not your main actor. Your main actor is the message. The moment somebody says that to me, I'm like, all right, go ahead. And now you have me for another hour of conversation. And that's what happened there. Cause it was, I need to hear more than, well, we can sell this here, we can sell this there. I want to know that you believe in what you're selling. And that's how we decided on Gravitas, and MPX was our sales agent behind this.
Love that. Very insightful. And you mentioned that you've known Owen for practically 20 years or so. So I'm assuming in terms of creating, getting to film and TV, just stage work in general, this is something that's been a part of your life for a long time?
Filming, yes. So I went to film school in 2000, graduated in 2002 or 3, can't remember at this point. And I got sucked in. I did a lot of shorts back then. I got sucked into the world of reality TV. So I was doing camera work and DPing and certain things like that for a lot of different reality shows, which kind of consumed 10 years of my life, because obviously it's paying well. I'm killing myself doing it, but It was paying well. I had my family, and I have 4 kids, so I'm like, okay, I gotta feed these kids somehow. But after a while, the kids got a little older, and my wife was like, you get to get back to it. Write something, start filming again. So sometime just before 2017, I started filming my own scripted shorts again. And then this feature came about, and I've been waiting for my first feature forever. And everybody wants it to be perfect. Everyone's like, oh my God, some distributor came up or some company came up and gave me $10 million to make my film. And it happens. Doesn't happen often. Sometimes you just have to stop waiting and you just take it, do it yourself and then put it out there.
I love that. And yeah, one good piece of advice I got back in the day that probably applies to what you just said: done is better than perfect.
Correct. You are right about that. Although I'm still trying to be perfect on every aspect. I see parts of Marcus that I'm like, man, can I change that still? And it's like already out on Amazon or whatever. Like, what can I do to make that better?
Yeah, I feel, as a creator, I feel that. I think that's every creator. You always look back and like, man, I could have done this better. I could have edited this, but you just got to put it out there sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
So we always like to ask all our guests some kind of random rapid fire questions just to get to know them better. Are you ready, JR?
Sure. And this is 100% off the. This isn't planned at all because I didn't know you were going to do this. I want to put that out there. It is for real random questions.
Hell yeah! All right. Favorite late night snack or cheat meal?
God, Snickers, man.
All
right. I'll take M&M's too, but Snickers, yeah.
All right. Who are your favorite actors and actresses growing up, or your favorite directors? Were there any directors or actors that inspired you to get into the game?
Yeah, immediately Tom Hanks, favorite actor. I've followed Tom Hanks since I was a kid, in Big and Splash and all these other movies. So Tom Hanks, hands down, favorite actor. Favorite director now is Guillermo del Toro. It used to be Spielberg because I think everybody at some point was Spielberg, but del Toro just does so much with so little sometimes. And it's like, man.
If you could watch a movie over and over again for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Braveheart. Might be crazy, but Braveheart is what literally put me into this world. I watched that movie and I said, I think this is what I want to do.
I know Marcus deals with a lot of serious issues and everything, but on the lighter side, when it came to filming the feature film, were there any kind of funny or awkward moments that maybe seemed chaotic at the time that make for a funny story now?
Yeah. Well, we shot this in 12 days, booked 12 days. It actually ended up being 15 because the 12th day was kind of like Groundhog Day. It just kept happening over on day 13 and on 14th and then finally on 15. The place we shot at, there was a storm. We shot in Miami, and Miami's known for hurricanes and all sorts of these storms. And a storm came through, and on one we're supposed to shoot, and the power went out, like completely to the entire building. It was done, and we all sat around. We set up, we had cranes up and everything, and we had no choice but to break it all down and leave. Then on day 13, which was 2 weeks later, they were still getting the power up. We came back to film, and some pipe busted, and there was a flood. The entire building was flooded. The entire outside, you couldn't even walk towards it. It was like we started thinking, okay, the whole shoot went so smoothly. And now out of nowhere, the last day we can't get. So yeah, we finally, and we couldn't change the location. We had already shot one day there with one of the other actors who had already moved away. So it was like, oh, we're stuck here. So finally we ended up bringing a bunch of generators and rigging this building to the generators so we can have all the exterior lights and all that. But yeah, it's funny now, but man, it was like one of those very stressful moments as a producer and as a director that you got to sit down and say, okay, how do we make this work? How are we going to fix this?
Besides the obvious height difference, were there any accommodations you had to make for Paul Wight since he is a pretty big dude?
No, man. Paul is the easiest. I mean, he's one of the easiest actors I've ever dealt with. Paul came in, he was dressed, ready to go. First of all, I bought him the shirt and I said, okay, what size? And obviously I got a picture of myself in the shirt and it's pretty funny. But, he had his own pants. He had his own boots. He said, I'll bring my own stuff. Just supply the shirt that, because that's what I need as a security guard. He had his own driver bring him in. He was just fantastic, man. He was so, he didn't even need it. I asked him, do you need to sit over here? And he was like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. We're just talking to everybody, and great guy overall, all around.
I'm assuming you two would definitely be open to working again down the road.
Well, that's our next it's like a perfect segue. We're co-producing something coming up well, we're in development for it right now, but I had a couple meetings, and it's a comedy, funny enough. So it's not even close to being what Marcus is. But yeah, he's already attached as one of the leads to it. And then we're hoping to get some other guys attached soon. But yeah, we're co-producing. He has a co-producer. That was the one thing he said, hey, what can I do? Because you're giving us a lot, because even though it's only one day, his name means a lot here, He came back and he's like, look, I'm trying to start this production company, and it was big, Show Daddy Entertainment. And I'm like, done. I'll put it in there as a co-production, So yeah, and thankfully now we're on number 2, and, keep going from there.
That's awesome. And yeah, definitely keep us posted on that. And I guess I'll segue into this. How important is it to not just network with people, but just relationships in general, wanting to genuinely help people out? Paul Wight's a huge star. He didn't have to do this film. He didn't have to, take the time and go out ways to promote it. And we had an extensive conversation. You could really tell that the script, the story meant a lot to him. How important is it for directors, creators, actors to collaborate, not just when on set, but just in general to grow together?
Man, I will tell you, I went to film school, like I said, 2002, and half my crew were still my guys from 2002. Like, my DP was the same DP I was using in student shorts, 20 years ago. Same DP. I've used them in everything I've done, from commercials to music videos to my shorts to this. My script supervisor is another director who also was in film school with us. My DP's brother, who was probably 10 at the time in film school, he was on set carrying, C-stands and carrying everything. This is the same team. Like 90% of the team I had on this are people I've known for 20 years. And I'll tell you this, I had so many people provide free stuff, gear, because I returned the favor. I've said this 1,000 times. My script supervisor is a director and a writer, and every time he's written something that he wants to direct, I'm on his set and I'll script supervise for him, or I will be picking up C-stands and wrapping, stingers and all that. So yeah, we all work well together. The importance of just community, I guess. Let's say community. It's huge, because you go to Hollywood and you're hiring 100, 200 people on a set, where you don't need to be in Hollywood if you have 20 friends who will all know what they're doing. It's not like I'm calling my neighbors. I'm calling people who work professionally in this industry in Florida, and we're all have the same idea in mind. Hey, let's make a movie and let's make it the best we can make it. And that's how it goes. I mean, that's how we got a lot of our gear was provided by different crew members who have different things, lighting. This guy had all this lighting. This other guy had 2 cameras. This other guy had, your grip truck, whatever it was. And we all kind of, brought it together.
For sure. I love that community, for sure. And of course, paying it forward.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I always tell people, listen, I do favors because, and I'll tell them straight out. I was like, hey, I'm doing this favor. I have no problem doing this for free, but expect a call one day, because I'm going to need your help. At some point, I'm going to need your help on my set. And that was one of the deals of my second camera op was that. I said, hey, if you do this for me, you got me. And then he was like, what about Owen? I'm like, I'm sure Owen will be into it. And Owen was like, yeah, if you need me, whenever you write your feature, we're here. We're ready to go.
What's the best piece of advice you give for success?
It's cliche, man, but it's just don't quit. It's cliche, but I can tell you, like I said, I have 4 kids. My DP has 3 kids. And 2 weeks ago, our film came out, our first feature film ever after 20 years. And we have 7 kids between the 2 of us. And we said, our 7 kids will never know that we quit. They will know the meaning of continue, do not quit, because they just saw us. I mean, they've all been born. They're all in the movie, by the way. I mean, some way or another, all these kids are in the movie. But yeah, they've all seen us struggle with what we've been trying to do. They've seen us fail. They've seen us succeed. I've done bad shorts just like I've done good shorts, but yeah, they all know the meaning of, don't quit.
Amazing. And we're going to chat on another high note. Why should people watch Marcus?
Marcus is it's the rawest conversation about mental health that you could have. You can talk to psychologists, you can talk to psychiatrists, you can talk to counselors, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you talk to someone. But when it comes to this film, you watch it, if you're suffering from mental health, mental health condition, watch it with someone who isn't. Watch it with someone who you're trying to connect and you need their help, because not only are you going to understand how to open up on your end, they're going to understand how to speak to you, and they're going to understand what's going on in your mind. And at least if you're able to do that and connect with the film through the film, hopefully, I think everybody will get a better sense of getting through this, of how to get through this.
Great stuff. Well said. And where can we find you online, and where can we find you next?
Online, I'm on Instagram. It's JR Films, J.R._films. I don't know. They make it so difficult. But yeah, JR Films. Look for me. JR Poli Films. I'm on Facebook as well. Next, I mean, I'm hoping to be doing. I've got a couple things brewing. Got a couple things. I had really good meetings 2 weeks ago, and I've got some higher end TV series directors that I'm chatting with that I'm hoping something comes out of as well. So I may not just be doing movies. I may be doing some kind of feature, some kind of series. Who knows? Excellent.
Well, JR, we thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for sharing your incredible journey to success. So glad you came out on the other side. So happy for your success. Congrats on a fantastic film. Definitely looking forward to that. And don't worry about the Instagram stuff. We'll include that in the show notes. So you're all good. But thank you so much, man.
It is me on there, by the way. So if you write something, I'll be responding. I just can't tell you the name.